You asked for it, here it is. This is what it was actually like to work at Twitch. So as you know, I recently quit my software engineering job at Twitch to pursue my actual dream of being a full-time rapper. I worked at Twitch for almost 4 years, and for a lot of that time, I was documenting all my thoughts and experiences in a Google Doc that I called Work Thoughts. And today, for the first time, I'm going to be sharing this doc with you all. There's a lot of personal stuff in here. Some of it may have to be redacted depending on how sensitive it is, but I'm going to try to be as upfront as possible. Let's get into the doc. Some context, my goal was always to work at Twitch for 4 years, save up some money, then quit. But I was less than a year in when the burnout started to hit, so I decided starting this doc would be a good way to actually journal how I'm feeling over time. And my general rule of thumb was if I had 3 overly negative entries in a row, maybe it's time to quit. Let's get started with Monday, April 10th, 2023. Work is stressful because I don't know what I'm doing with the rollback and I'm not sure what questions to ask. Person 1 is asking a lot of me and I don't know how to handle it. Work is exciting because the new team seems nice and I'd like to get to know them. Also, person 2 is working on the UI part of the API I'm making and she's a fun person to talk to. Work is good because of the money. This was a good short entry. I mean, basically just talking about the things that happen in the day-to-day as a software developer. You know, some things are confusing, some things are kind of interesting. The people are mostly good, but there's some tension with how much I'm being expected to do. And the number one reason I like the job, which is going to be true throughout this entire document, is the money. Working in big tech is a cheat code to a stupidly high salary that feels honestly pretty undeserved compared to other jobs that make a lot less. But I digress. Next entry, Friday, April 28th, 2023. Work is generally good, but there's a lot going on every day. The more I know, the more people ask of me, and the less time I can spend actually coding. I feel like I get stuck on the last 10% of everything when the other 90% of the work is fun and interesting. Too bad I can't hand the final 10% to someone else. Person 1 is great, and he's coming to the New York office next week, which is exciting. Person 2 and person 3 are cool and fun to work with, but I feel like they're moving a lot faster than me because it's 2 of them and 1 of me. Person 4 is frustrating as usual, but I have to talk to him about this project. Hopefully over time we talk less frequently about work. It seems like in general I was having an okay time at this point at work, but this does highlight something about software development that is very frustrating and sort of came as a surprise to me because, this Twitch was my first and only proper software development job, which is that you don't actually do that much coding. Coding is the basis. Writing code is kind of you have to know how to do it to have this job. It's definitely crucial. But a lot of the challenging parts of the job, which therefore takes up more of the time, is maybe planning how you're going to write the code, or talking with other people about what the code should do, or setting up the infrastructure that the code's going to run on. There's just a lot of logistics besides just writing straight code, which kind of sucks because for me personally, I always just like writing code. To this day, I still enjoy a good coding challenge. And that's what a lot of the job is, but it's not nearly as much of the job as I expected. Next entry, I'm reading ahead a little bit. This seems like it's where it gets bad. Monday, June 5th, 2023. I seriously want to quit as fast as possible. The random stuff I'm expected to do doesn't make sense. How do I change permissions for SDC for the team that doesn't have the right permissions? How can I be on call when I don't even know what half the services do? And the amount of on-call time, primary and secondary, is way too much for my work-life balance to handle. I make a lot of money, an unreasonable amount, and that's the only reason I'm staying. That and the fact that it's too awkward to tell my boss that I want to quit. I just don't know how long I can possibly stay here. Yeah, on-call sucks. If you're considering going into a tech job, I'm not going to say don't do it. I feel like there's a lot of great stuff and maybe it is your sort of thing, but just be really careful if the company has an on-call shift, because for some people that's really just not healthy. And I think I'm one of those people. In the beginning, my team's on-call rotation had a primary and a secondary on-call every week, which meant in my case that for 2 weeks out of every 7, I'm expected to be some form of on-call, which basically means I need to have my phone next to me at all times and have my computer reasonably close. And the on-call shift also regularly included being woken up at 3 a.m. to handle some random server that's down. I hate that. And honestly, for my trajectory, because my goal was just to save money and do rap, I have no regrets keeping the high-paying job that gave me more stress in my early 20s. But if you're out there and you're looking for a job that you want to keep forever, or that you want to keep until your 60s and then you retire, just be wary of an on-call shift. After a company gives you an offer, after you finish the interviews and everything, maybe ask them, how is the on-call culture at this company? Am I expected to be on call often? Do I get woken up a lot? What's the vibe? Because for me personally, I will never take a job with an on-call shift again. I mean, at least as far as I can imagine now, I can't think of any job that could possibly be rewarding enough to make me want to ruin my sleep over it. So yeah, at this point in 2023, I was starting to get really worried about on-call, and the feelings of wanting to quit were bubbling up. Friday, June 16th, 2023. Work hasn't been so bad today. On-call is a bit stressful and frustrating, but it's somewhat cathartic to commiserate with person 1 and person 2 and person 3 about it. I like the people at Twitch quite a bit. There are fun moments. The work itself is very hard still, but I feel like I can ask for help and push through it. Person 4 was super helpful last week. She encouraged me to push through the first year, even if it's as hard as it is, because it's this hard for everyone early on. I feel optimistic about staying here for at least another year, but obviously that can change at any moment. For right now, I'm okay with my job. This week has been manageable. This entry kind of highlights what I was going for when I made this doc. Like, you know, if I had just quit when I wanted to on June 5th, when I wrote, I seriously want to quit as fast as possible, that would have ignored the fact that on June 16th, I was actually pretty okay with the job and maybe even enjoying part of it. Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. Work this week has been insanely productive, and it's been fun talking with person 1 and person 2 recently. Every day after work this week, I felt extremely exhausted and burnt out, too much to do just about anything besides things I like. I feel like I might be caring a little too much about work, but that in turn means that I'm doing well. I'd like to take a slightly more backseat approach in July, still getting work done but not worrying so much about deadlines. The work itself is enjoyable, although very challenging. I felt less bothered by non-coding issues recently, which has been good. I've actually been able to focus on writing good code. Hoping I can finish my end of the project before the first game day. Yeah, I mean, that's just a nice wholesome entry. I guess I was enjoying the job at that point. I was working really hard, but actually feeling fulfilled by it, which didn't last for too long, but you know, it was nice. Monday, August 7th, 2023. I'm starting work right now, and my second on-call shift is wrapping up today. The shift was acceptable despite being woken up twice. Having unlimited data has helped me feel more okay going out, so it hasn't felt painful being on call. Recently, I feel like I've been better at letting myself take it chill and not worry too much about getting everything done. I'm proud of myself for not treating it like the end of the world when I didn't hit my goal deadline at the end of last week. This past Friday was basically hell. I spent all day trying to figure out a Terraform issue, but in the end I actually got it on my own, which felt so triumphant. Today I was actually excited to start work. I've got some CRs to wrap up today that'll put a nice bow on my current project. Person 1 left a week ago, which is sad. I'll miss having her on the team, but in light of that, there's been a lot of talk about adding people to the on-call shift, as well as potential new hires, which makes me feel more comfortable about the future. Also, Person 2 mentioned that we'll probably get an intern next summer, which definitely makes me want to stay until then. Spoiler alert, we never got an intern in my entire time that I was at the company. I was always the youngest person on the team. But yeah, I do remember I invested in unlimited data for my cell phone plan around this time because I think for my first on-call shift, I didn't have unlimited data and I was just even scared to like go outside at all because I didn't have enough data to like get work done if I needed to hop on a video call or something. But yeah, by my second on-call shift, I was at least comfortable like going to the supermarket or, you know, going for a walk as long as I had my computer in my backpack, which was like more calming, I guess, but it still sucks. Like having to go everywhere with your computer is no fun, but unlimited data was a good quality of life increase. Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023. Work has been really bad and soul draining these past couple days. I really don't like the Elastic Origin project because it seems like I don't really know anything about it. Person 1 asks me lots of questions that he wants me to have opinions on, but I'm just not educated enough to have an opinion yet. I really want a break. Unlike a few months ago, I'm not realistically considering quitting anytime soon, but I sure as hell can't wait for 2026. Realistically, I don't want to rush through my early 20s, so it's sad that I feel that way. I'll try to have a better attitude outside work and prioritize enjoying life. Good perspective in this one. I still can't wait until 2026, and I don't have to. We're here. I'm a full-time rapper, and life is incredible. This was definitely like the biggest like mental health challenge I had in my years at Twitch, which was that it just felt like I was not really living the life I wanted to live because I knew that the life I wanted to live required me to like live this life or the Twitch life for a while first. And I'm so grateful to like just be on this earth, like not to get too spiritual about it, but I really feel like, you know, we have just this one life and I really wanted to live it to the fullest. I always want to live my life to the fullest. So feeling like I'm just making this like multi-year like time sink into a job that I don't really like that much is just like a really painful thing to come to terms with. But at the end of the day, we're here and my life right now is so much better because I did that time sink. And so like, you know, I have no regrets. I have no regrets about any of this. And I'm also really grateful that the job I hated happened to pay really well because lots of people in their early 20s would also be at a job they hate, but it doesn't pay well. So there's like no end in sight. So, you know, I'm full of gratitude, but it was just really hard knowing that like I'm only doing this for the money. I'm only doing this so in a few years I can quit and have enough savings to like, be able to actually pursue my rap career without worrying so much about where the money's coming from for a little while. That's not to say that I didn't enjoy my life at all in the past few years. A lot of great stuff happens. Like, I got married to the best person in the world. I made a lot of great music I'm really proud of. I made some awesome friends in the DC area. Like there is a lot that's happened that was really cool. But it just always had that shadow of like, you're doing a job you don't like, you're doing a job you don't like. But oh well. Thursday, September 7th, 2023. I think about quitting and feel such a wave of relief. I know it wouldn't last forever because I'd need to eventually A, get another job, or B, make it as a rapper. But I'm really not worried about those things. I always adapt to whatever I do. It seems unreasonable to think I wouldn't get a job before I run out of money. Person 1 is very kind but simultaneously scary because of how much he knows. He congratulates me when I make even tiny progress and brings up all the work I do at Sinks, sort of standing up for me in a way I don't know how to do. I like that a lot. I still kind of want to quit. Or switch teams. Whatever the case, it feels like an easier job would be better. Yeah, this was a common feeling I had where it's just like, do you know that feeling where, it's the last day of school and you suddenly have no responsibilities, you have no homework, you have nothing to do for the whole summer. Like that wave of relief is what I would feel when I would think about the concept of quitting my job. If I could just drop it all right now and have no responsibilities to the company, that was just like such an incredible thought. And the reason I mentioned switching teams here, I never ended up doing that, but I thought it would be nice to just have a team that had easier work. My team had pretty hard work, but I really liked the people on my team, so I think that probably wouldn't have been like the best move anyway. Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. It's 12:09 a.m. and I have no interest in doing this kind of work ever again. I'm completely fed up and defeated right now. Things were starting to feel acceptable the other day, but this on-call shift has been absolute hell and I don't see any reason to put up with this. I have fuck you money. I can quit and be okay. I have over amount of money in savings. I don't need to deal with this. It'd be nice to milk more money from it, but I really don't need to. I'll succeed in music or I'll get another job. I'm not the kind of person who would let myself or my family starve. I'll be okay, but I'm not okay right now. Why the hell am I doing this? Fuck this shit, I need to sleep. Throughout this series where I'm reading this journal, there are going to be a few entries like this where it's just like the bad moments of on-call. This was one of the bad moments. And like, I'm irrational when I'm woken up at 12:09 a.m. to work on some nonsense. But those irrational, angry feelings are coming from a real place. Like, those are the frustrations that have been boiling up, and it always comes to a head during an on-call shift. Wednesday, September 27th, 2023. I'm glad that on-call shift is done. I had an okay day yesterday, but I'm starting to feel frustrated again today, getting stuck in a rut where I can't get any work done because I'm too confused. This seems like relatively standard debugging fare, but it's rough when I have to deal with systems I have nothing to do with instead of just debugging my own code. I would like to work for a non-tech company. I do remember around this time I started thinking that my ideal job would be like working for Colgate, like the toothpaste company, and like doing their website. Because when you work doing tech for a tech company, most people there do tech too. So you're working on other people's code. And if the website goes down for the company you work at, it's like a big deal. But if the Colgate website goes down, who cares? I don't think I've ever been on their website and I buy their products. So at this point I was kind of fantasizing about leaving big tech to do tech for non-tech. I never ended up doing that, but maybe someday I will. Maybe that's where I'll like end up coding again in my 40s or whatever. We'll see. And now here's the last entry of 2023 and the final entry I'll read for y'all today. Thursday, November 2nd, 2023. It's been a while since I've updated this. Before the on-site, I was really in a bad place, but the on-site helped a lot. Hanging with the team was great and motivated me to stay at Twitch for a while longer. However, now it's been a few weeks since the on-site and I'm once again approaching burnout. There's a lot on my plate that I don't know how to do, and I feel like I'm not getting the help I need. It's just very hard to understand a lot of the stuff I'm expected to do, and some things just don't work. I can't get the code to build, and there's seemingly no reason. It's very strange and frustrating. This is another common theme you'll see throughout the rest of this journal in the next videos, which is that on-sites were always great and a big morale boost. So as you may know, I worked from home for like most of the time I was at Twitch. All in all, I wouldn't trade working from home for having to go into the office 5 days a week, but the occasional on-sites were really nice. They would fly us all out to San Francisco and we would stay for like a week. Sometimes we'd go bowling, sometimes we'd play mini golf, and we would have our meetings in the office and actually like get to know each other, which really helped like put a personality to the people I'm interfacing with on Slack. I have a lot of fond memories of these on-sites, and that always was a nice morale boost for me and made me like want to stay at the company longer. That was the last entry of 2023, and it was on November 2nd, which hints that, I didn't need to write in this journal for a little while, maybe work was going well? We'll see. Stay tuned for the next episode of Reading My Work Thoughts Journal. This will probably be like a 3 or 4 or 5 part series, and then, once it's done because I quit. But let me know what you think about this first episode in the comments. Subscribe, like the video, and hype the video to get this all the way to the top so 1 million people see it and I can actually pursue my dream of being a rapper and YouTuber for the rest of my life. That's about it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.